Hello everyone, thanks for watching my video. I am Kim Joseph. In this video, I will keep talking about net cost method. We need to know the definition of net cost first. I will explain it using the rules in Korea-US FTA, which is almost same with those of NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement. We should understand what is total cost in advance. Total cost is all products cost, period cost, and other costs for goods incurred in the territory of one or both of the parties. In other words, I can simply say that the total cost is product price, AV, minus profit. Yes, it is easier to understand. And we can get net cost by deducting promotion, marketing, and after sales, and so on from total cost. Okay, I will talk about it in a different way in the next slide. We will see how we calculate net cost in this slide. Product price, AV, minus profit, and that is total cost. Total cost minus several costs, including sales, promotion, marketing, etc. And we can get net cost. I describe how the net cost is calculated. Then we need to know that the characteristics of these costs. Let's take a look at them closely. And we are able to understand that all of them belong to period cost. In other words, they don't belong to manufacturing cost. In this slide, we will see what the price is made up of and how we can distinguish net cost from a price. Direct material cost and direct labor cost constitute direct cost, and direct cost and overhead cost constitute manufacturing cost, and manufacturing cost and period cost constitute total cost, and total cost and profit finally constitute a product price, which is also called AV in my video. Let's find a net cost in this diagram. Product price minus profits is equal to total cost. We need to deduct several costs from total cost to acquire a net cost. The deducting costs are sales, promotion, marketing, royalties, and etc. As I mentioned before, all the deducting costs belong to period cost. So the deduction happens only in the area of period cost, and we deduct each cost: sales, promotion, marketing, and royalties, and so on. Okay, we finished the deduction, and all we have to do is to add up the rest area, and we are able to know that the deducted period cost and manufacturing cost constitute a net cost. That's it. We can understand what kinds of costs constitute a net cost. In addition, I would like to tell you two important things. First, net cost is definitely smaller than product's price, AV, which is used by build-up method. This is the product price AV, and you can easily find that NC is smaller than AV. AV is bigger than NC, and this rectangle represents AV minus NC. As I said before, if the denominator in this formula getting smaller, RBC rate is also getting smaller. As a result, On the same condition, RBC rate of net cost method is definitely smaller than RBC rate of build-up method. So Korea-US FTA offer more generous rate to net cost method. The origin criteria of cars in Korea-US FTA is build-down method 55% and net cost method 35%. If we don't know the characteristic of RBC method, we might think that net cost method is better than build-down method. But however, as I explained, that has a reason. Okay, that's the first character, and the second thing is that this diagram includes all items in one company. The number of products can be more than 1, 2, 3 or more. We will discuss it more in the next slide. We understand net cost method in the previous slide, and it's time to calculate a net cost. And we face a serious problem at the beginning. The problem is that the previous diagram includes all products of a company. If a product produces only one product, it is simple, but in case a company produces 2 or more products, there are serious difficulties. We will assume that A company has 3 products, which is A, B, and C. At first, we should know the total cost, which is acquired by deducting profits from product price. However, there are 3 products, so we need to divide the profit into 3 for A, B, and C, and allocate the 3 to A, B, and C. Okay, let's continue in the next slide. Okay, next, we should deduct several costs, which include sales, promotion, marketing, royalty, and so on. Okay, we will start deducting directly related costs. There are a lot of accounts regarding period cost of the company in general ledger. We need to sort and select all the accounts that belong to deducting costs. If we finish sorting and selecting the accounts, we should divide all the accounts into 3 again and allocate them A, B, and C products. We have to consider one more thing. In case of common costs, which are not directly related, some costs are not directly related to deducting costs. For example, general costs, like electricity charges for headquarters building of the company. In this case, we must divide them into portion of deducting costs and the portion of non-deducting costs. And we should divide them into 3 again and allocate them to each products A, B, and C. Wow, as you can see, it takes tremendous amount of work. This is a big challenge to companies that want to use net cost method. In spite of tremendous workload we discussed, lots of car companies use and prefer net cost method. Most of them are North America companies of cars and car parts, and we need to know why and how they use the net cost method. Fortunately, we had a chance how North America companies actually use a net cost method. Okay, let's talk about it. After the origin verification on USA car company, we came to know a very important fact. The car company usually almost don't deduct costs from period costs. Instead, they don't include period cost in net cost. In other words, they get rid of deducting area, period cost. so they don't have any area to deduct. As a result, net cost is equal to manufacturing cost. Comparing to the previous one, it is getting smaller, small as red box size. As a result, there is no need to deduct because the deducted area disappeared. I can say it is a very safe and conservative way to acquire net cost. However, as I mentioned before, RBC rate and net cost move in same direction. RBC rate and net cost move in same direction. So RBC also decrease because of the net cost decrease. I would like to remind you of some features of a net cost method. As a positive aspect, RBC rate of net cost is lower than build-up method. For example, in origin criteria of Korea US FTA, build-up method is over 55%, but net cost method is over 35%. The burden of net cost method of regional contents is 20% lower than that of build-up method. On the contrary, there are some negative aspects. As we talked, net cost, which is usually manufacturing cost, is smaller than AV, the product price. So as the denominator is smaller than build down, the RBC rate is also lower than that of build down. Besides, we came to know that car companies use the method more conservatively by getting rid of the whole period cost that makes the denominator small again, and it leads to decrease of RBC rate. At this point, I'd like to raise one question. If the positive aspect and negative aspect of net cost method meet, what will be the result? I can tell you that positive is bigger than negative aspects. I will explain the reason in the next slides. I will prove my hypothesis. The positive is bigger than negative in net cost method. As you know, the origin criteria for cars in USA, Korea US FTA is build down over 55%, net cost over 35%, and we will assume that AV, the product price, is 100, and VNM, value of non-originating materials, is Y, and net cost is X. I'd like to emphasize that net cost is almost same with manufacturing cost, and we will see the maximum allowable rate of VNM, Y, of each method. In other words, we will see how much portion of VNM is allowed in each method. Okay, let's start the proof. In this slide, we will calculate each method based on the previous assumption. Firstly, we will see the build-down method. AV, it is AV minus VNM divided by AB. In the previous assumption, AV is 100 and VNM is Y. So it is 100 minus Y divided by 100. That should be more than 55%. After calculation, we can know that Y should be less than 45 to satisfy build-up method. Okay, next, let's see net cost method. The formula of net cost method is net cost minus VNM divided by net cost. And net cost is X and VNM is Y. So it is X minus Y divided by X. And that should be more than 35%. After calculation, we also are able to know that Y should be less than 0.65 times X to satisfy the net cost method. We got two results. To satisfy the origin criteria, in build-up method, Y should be less than 45. In net cost method, Y should be less than 0.65 times X. We will compare the two methods using a graph in the next slide. I will use very simple algebra to compare the two methods. Y-axis represent VNM and X-axis represent net cost. As I mentioned before, net cost is same with manufacturing cost in practice. Let's see the build-up method first. Y should be less than 45. So I will draw a line Y is equal to 45, which is parallel to X-axis. Y should be less than 45, so the area is under the line is the area that satisfies the build-up method. Okay, next, let's see the net cost method. To satisfy net cost method, Y should be less than 0.65 times X. I will draw a line. Y is equal to 0.65 times X. That means the area under the line is the area that satisfies net cost method. And we need to see the point the two lines meet. At this point, Y is 45 and that is also equal to 0.65 times X, and we are able to know that X is 69.2. It is very important to see that what will happen if X is more than 96.2 and approach 100. The area of net cost become bigger than that of build-up method. This blue triangle shows the size of the difference. As you know, X is net cost and net cost is manufacturing cost in practice. In other words, if the portion of manufacturing cost accounts for more than 69.2%, the area of net cost becomes bigger than that of build-up method. Do you remember what the area means? Yes, it is area of VNM, value of non-originating materials. The bigger area means the more VNM. That also means the company are able to use more non-originating materials to satisfy the origin criterion, and they are relieved from the burden of using only originating materials. Okay, we are able to understand how the two methods work. Furthermore, the crucial factor that decide which method is more favorable is X, manufacturing cost. Finally, we can conclude that it depends on the portion of manufacturing cost. If we know the portion of manufacturing cost in product price, we are able to choose the method more favorable. In the next slide, we will see how it works in real car industry. In this slide, we will see which method is more favorable by estimating manufacturing costs of car companies in Korea. The problem is that we cannot know the exact manufacturing cost of every car, so we can only guess the estimate of manufacturing cost by using income statement of annual reports of each company, and we will regard sales of goods as AV, product price, and regard cost of goods as manufacturing cost. I can say that sales of goods, cost of goods in income statement are the sum of products price and manufacturing cost. They are not exactly same, but uh, very similar concepts, so we can use them as just estimation purpose. This table shows the portion of cost of goods in sales of goods, and we will regard them as estimate portion of manufacturing cost in AV. This table shows the portion of cost of goods in sales of goods, which we regard as portion of net cost in product price. As you can see, all companies are over 69.2%. In other words, all companies belong to area of the previous triangle where net cost is more favorable. That means that all of the 4 companies are able to relieve the burden of using only originating materials. Considering the common sense that competition in car industry is very high, so it is reasonable that the portion of manufacturing cost is more than 70%. In the next slide, we will see how much net cost method is favorable using the case of these 2 companies, Renault and GM. As I said, we will see the case of the 2 companies. 95 is the portion of cost of goods, and we regard the cost of goods as manufacturing cost, and we regard manufacturing cost as net cost. Okay, we will compare the 2 methods. In build down method, as we know, the Y VNM should be less than 45. However, in the net cost method, Y should be less than 61.75. The 2 cases are under the same condition, but the net cost method has 16.75 bigger area than build-down method, and that means companies can relieve the burden of using and maintaining only originating materials. As for maintaining originating materials, it is a huge burden not only for the car companies, but also for their vendors. And it also raised the possibility of satisfying the origin criteria. Finally, we can conclude that the positive aspect of net cost definitely bigger than negative aspect. That's it. That's all I have for the net cost method. In this video, I introduced a net cost method. Thanks for watching my video. Thank you.